right. Hello, everyone. My name is Justaria Curry. I am the demystified herbalist. And welcome to the second episode of the Dear Herbalist podcast titled The God Complex. So I know a lot of people are like, huh? Now, a common theme that you will see throughout anything that you see produced by the demystified herbalist will be humility. I can't stress that enough. I also talk about the importance and need for herbalists to be humble. And if they don't have it, perfect this trait. Okay? Now, throughout my journey in herbal medicine, I have joined several herbalist and naturist blogs. Some of them were actually very helpful and they fostered a sense of community. And others are nothing more than a knowledge measuring contest, or as they say, stick, STICK, measuring contest, right? Herbalists are on there bickering or challenging other herbalists over the information or recommendations given in a very rude way. Somebody can come and just ask a very general question. They may not know something or understand, and it's like, oh my God, why would you ask that question? You don't know that. It's this, it's not that. And so I found myself quite a number of times wanting to get on there and respond back to those people and say, you know what, ma'am, or you know what, sir, you don't have to be so snide. You don't have to be so rude because you once didn't know even what you know. And who made you God, as I say his Hebrew name, Yah, over all the information? So that's what we're going to talk about today, the God complex, because we need to stop that. Okay, and I don't say we because I do that, but I say we as herbalists in general. Whether you possess this complex or not, or you're at risk of having this complex, we need to not have it and get rid of it if we've got it. Okay, now I recognize, okay, especially when it comes to those blogs, I recognize the importance of us herbalists giving out accurate information. So I'm not saying that if an herbalist is in error, you should just let them continue. Please don't mistake me for having that belief. I think you should offer your advice, but it's how you offer it. And in this community, bring your receipts, okay? Because shooting off information just because you said so is not enough. It's just not. Also, point them in a route. If your intentions are pure, point them in a way, and the information that you have, a book, website, whatever, point them in the direction of where you got the information. And maybe once they see that, that will open their eyes. But not just listen to me because I said so, because I have 20 years of experience and blah, blah, blah. You still don't know everything. Okay? As research progresses and science advance and the knowledge of plants and all of that, because of all these things advancing, we have more access to more information now than we did way before. So what does that mean when you have more knowledge? Well, sometimes things can change. Okay? And sometimes this can spark change in the very recommendations that you can actually give someone. So everyone goes through this. You may start out believing one way, and then with more information, you change your tune. It happens. It doesn't mean you're a scammer. It doesn't mean you're ridiculous. It doesn't mean that you should be shut down. It means that you are a human being with limited information that has come into the light of more information, and you've corrected your ways and you're moving forward. Trust me, this happens. So rather than, respectfully informing the herbalist of new information, we want to be rude. We want to tell them that, what you're recommending is dangerous or wrong or it's ridiculous. You're ignorant. You're dumb. You need to get out of the field. You don't know enough. And so we want to tear people down rather than correcting them in love and then providing proof of our stand. That's the God complex. Okay? Now, like I said before, I've read several blogs. I've talked to several herbalists. And some of them I noticed have what I call is the God complex. Now, this complex is a complex that gives you the false understanding that you were the one that has healed someone. You will, hear people say stuff like, I've healed so and so of this, or I healed that person of that, or I am the only one that has been given this knowledge. So you have to come to only me, right? It is at its lowest point. It's the false belief that you have the power to determine if someone lives or dies, if someone gets healed or does not. Okay? This dis-ease of the God complex is often accompanied by symptoms of arrogance, pride, little respect of others or their opinions, dismissive of other herbalists, blaming, and an inflated sense of self and one's abilities. These fruits of the God complex tree, trust me, are rotten to the core. Now, excuse me, if you are new to herbal medicine, you have to understand that as an herbalist, we don't heal anyone. We facilitate healing. And this is a principle that must be clearly understood, or we will fall victim to the God complex. We must exercise gratitude when someone gets better and be more grateful that we were able to be a part of and facilitate that healing process. Okay? But whether someone gets healed or not depends on multiple factors of which we don't have control over. Okay? So let's talk about some of those factors. Okay? The first one is human will. Okay? Do they truly want to be healed? Okay? Do they truly believe that the plants can help facilitate the healing? Can the plants help fill in the gaps? Okay? Either speed up a process in the body or slow a process down in the body so that the body can do what it needs to do to heal itself. Do they believe in that process? Way back in the ancient days, a lot of the ancient herbalists, they would talk to people first. And they wouldn't work with anybody who didn't believe that the plants could work for them. Because belief is a very strong and powerful thing. Okay? Sometimes people ask the question, well, why isn't this remedy working? Or why does it seem that the person isn't getting better? Go back and look at their human will. You have some people out there that like being sick, that want to be sick. They love the attention that they get from being sick. And so internally, they are working against what you do and how you are helping them, or at least attempting to help them. They're working against that by inside secretly wanting to remain ill. Okay? You can't force someone to do anything, and that's where the God complex comes in. Okay? You cannot force anyone. The other thing that we have no control over as herbalists is human physiology and human anatomy. Okay? Not everybody, they were given all the same tools. Let me say that. As a human being, we were all given all the same tools. Okay? But some of us don't have the tools in the toolbox anymore. Some of our tools are a little ashy. Some of our tools broke off, meaning that somebody may start with their complete body with all their organs intact, And then over time, through what we eat, what we think, how we live, what we breathe in, all of these things, depending on where we are, can definitely and severely alter our physiology. And thus, some don't have their kidney, some don't have, pieces of their intestine. Okay? So, this is something, these changes are things that we as herbalists have no control over. And if you are an herbalist that are, we call them clinical herbalists, but you can be a herbalist coach, wellness coach, you're at the core, you are assessing people's condition and you're making recommendations of plants that they can use based on what you've determined from their, from your own assessment, right? But not everybody's doing a thorough assessment. They're just listening to the symptoms and saying, okay, boom, based on the symptoms, do da 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 da. And so that's a very limited way to help someone. Okay? And so you can't control human physiology, human anatomy. The other thing that you can't control is plant physiology and plant anatomy and how those things will work with our body. Okay? So looking at these factors, these are the things that you have to consider. And as herbalists, based on gathering all the information, you can best predict that these are the actions that is going to happen once you put this particular plant up against this particular imbalance based on, either future things or your research at best. Okay, we're putting way too much pressure on ourselves and way too much pressure on herbalists as a whole to run in here and help, quote unquote, heal, right? Certain issues. Never mind the other fact of, your customer or your client's compliance. Are they following what you said to a T, or are they sliding that donut in? Are they staying true to the detox? Are they, hitting them a little bag of something? There's just too many things that we cannot control for us to have a swelled up head. The God complex. Even in science is limited in its ability to fully understand all the inner workings, of the human body. And the reason is the Most High will not give his blueprint of the human body and nature to no one. Okay? He's not giving his blueprint to us, his creation, and nature, also his creation. He's not giving you the blueprint. You're not getting it. Excuse me. You're not getting it. So don't ask. Right? We will only be able to know so much. Okay? And we can only be allowed to discover so much as humans. I mean, and I see why. Look at what we have done with what we do know. Okay? We've used the information that we have gained in our society to manipulate outcomes, to destroy our earth, to poison the body, the mind. And with all this so-called advancements in science, our society is sicker and as we go on and dying at alarming rates. Okay? There was a research study, and it's called the Empirical Study of Chronic Diseases in the United States, a visual analytics approach to public health. Okay? And it was published. It said that nearly half of all Americans will suffer from at least one chronic disease. So what does that tell you? Okay? So because science does not know it all, and they spend over what 10 years in school, and they, trying to learn everything, and they still only know a little. And if you hear some of the testimonies from a lot of the medical students, and I used to study this because I thought at one time my path would be to become a medical doctor. So I was trying to watch a lot of vlogs and videos so that I could really understand what I'm getting myself into. But in watching that, I found that a lot of the information is rushed. And sometimes they don't even feel confident enough in what they've learned to be able to give care. So they have to follow a script. Okay? Because you can't know it all. And so if they have to spend over 10 years in school and still only know a little, okay, how much more do you think you know as an herbalist with hands-on experience, and for some, no research and very minimal education in the foundational sciences and herbal medicine and the plant body? I mean, how much more do you think you know? I mean, like I said before, at best, we are able as herbalists to make predictions based on our knowledge of the human body, herbal medicine, and the plant body's interaction with each other, okay, to help facilitate a state of healing. Okay? At best, we make predictions. And I know that doesn't sound good to people, but it's no different than what your doctor is doing. Do you think they can look at your situation and be like, yep, do this, walk off? They have to make predictions. Now, ego will not allow them to say that. But based on, what they've studied, based on the manual that shows them how to, as I'm going to use their word, diagnose disease, at best, they're able to make predictions. But you've seen it where they said, okay, I think it's this, do these things. You come back, say, this is what's happening. Oh, well, no, it wasn't this. Maybe it's this. Why do you think that is? Okay. So as an herbalist, I can't say this enough, and it may ruffle some feathers, but I've been on this earth, too long to care about ruffling people's feathers. It is foolish, okay, to be arrogant enough to claim yourself as a god or as a healer, or to take 100% credit for a process that you cannot fully control, nor did you create. Like I said, the body does the healing. It's a powerful organism that was intricately designed to heal itself. Now, there are several mechanisms of the human body that are known to man that were designed to function to assess threats, create a plan of action to address those threats, and to restore balance in the body whenever it got out of balance. It can truly heal itself, guys. Now, the real problem is that there is an evil in this world that has studied these mechanisms as well. And not to understand it for good, but only to make us sicker so we can take their medicines and eventually be buried in their cemeteries. They've launched an all-out assault on the human race in an attempt to defile the human body and eventually destroy it. And whether you believe it or not at this point doesn't matter. Just open your eyes. Ask a few questions. With the knowledge of the mechanisms that our bodies possess to heal itself, those evil ones, as I call them, and I will continue to call them that, okay? They have created their own mechanisms through chemicals, through the manipulation of biome meaning bacteria and fungus, okay? adding human flesh and other things that we consume, medicines, and the likes. All of this with the goal to break down our body's defenses, allowing imbalance to occur and to stay there. And so, of course, because I have researched this information and I feel really strong about it, I will definitely discuss all of those topics in detail as the podcast move forward. But for today, I'm going to stay on topic, okay? The God complex. And so, for that reason, all the information that I have given you thus far, this is the reason there is no room for arrogance. Okay? We are fighting an enemy that we can't see, and his tactics are not always known nor understood. And this is the reason we have to remain humble and vigilant. Our eyes must be open and our intentions must be pure so that the correct answers can come to us if somebody presents themselves in some sort of illness or ailment. Okay? Arrogance and the God complex, it's blinding. Okay? And key factors can be overlooked when you feel like you know it all. Okay? You're not open to other possibilities. Okay? You won't be open to collaborating with others, nor humbling yourself enough to go talk with someone who knows more than you on a particular subject. It will swiftly become about your ego and less about the person that you're trying to help. So what happens? Your vision gets skewed and you will lose sight of the main reason you were there to help that person in the first place. Anger will also arise when the person will, in your mind, question you rather than looking at it like they're advocating for themselves because they came out of a system that says, do what I said because I said so. So they take the mind frame of, I am no longer going to be, like I said, sit in the back seat. So I'm going to take charge of my health and I'm going to ask questions. Now, someone with the God complex will see that as you're challenging me, right? They'll see that as, who do you think you are? And you should know better. I know what I'm doing, blah, 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 blah. As herbalists, we should not be that way. We should understand. Some of us have gotten into this because we've been disappointed, lied to, all of these things. We put our 100% trust, which we should have never done, but we did, into that particular community, only to what? Some have lost limbs, some have lost their minds, some have lost their lives. So when they come over to us, they have a different mindset. And I'm not talking about the bohos who just want to argue and they're stuck on what they're stuck on. I'm not talking about them. The Bible says don't argue with a fool. Once you've identified they're a fool, stop talking to them. I'm talking about the people that are genuinely sick and tired of being sick and tired. They've tried everything. They've believed the lies. They jumped in the pool with the blindfold on and they said, I'm not doing that anymore. So by the time they get to you, dear herbalist, they are not looking for just another individual to say, do what I said because I said so. There needs to be an element of education, an element of humility and respect. Because regardless of what you think, they do know their body. Okay? So keep that in mind. Now, we all have a purpose, okay? We have a reason for being here. And if your purpose is to help facilitate healing for those on this earth, then you have to understand that you have all the information you need to complete your mission on the inside of you. Nothing more, nothing less. So humble yourself, dear herbalist. The path of the God complex can also lead to lawsuits. Who wants to be sued? No one, right? Remember, I said earlier that the God complex is blinding, right? And you might find yourself so full of yourself and your abilities that you forget to pay attention to those small foxes that come to spoil the vine. Okay? While you're gassing people up and making very bold claims and promising results, and you won't realize that if you don't make good on those results or you cause harm as a result of what you're recommending, you can be sued. I don't care how much of a loyal steed they may seem, you can be sued. And because of your lack of discernment, which is also skewed by arrogance and pride, you will overlook the fact that one of your clients could be an agent sent to you to set you up. And you took the bait, hook, line, and sinker, because you told them that you diagnosed their illness, and the treatment plan that you're creating will include a prescription of herb X and herb B. And I'm going to pause right here. Treatment, prescription, okay? Treatment plan, diagnose. Those in herbal medicine are called red zone words. Stay away from them. They are reserved for the medical community, and you don't want to get yourself sued. Okay? So let's go back to, Mr. God complex. So yeah, you told them, you're going to write a prescription for herb X and herb B. And then you also told them immediately stop their medication. And so what is your outcome, Mr. God complex? Well, the outcome of this is being sued for practicing medicine without a license. Like I said before, once you make the decision to go against the grain, as an herbalist, there is a target placed on your back. And this is why you have to be very careful and vigilant when you are helping other people. You have to be careful of who you help, the language you use for what you're doing. In other words, how you're describing the methods that you're using to help people, and even the type of remedies you recommend. Arrogance and a God complex will blind you from taking all that into consideration. Okay? We are not the Most High. Okay? We are not. Now, if you want to get far in this journey and you want to be able to grow, then understand this basic principle. Okay? We are all put here for a purpose, and it is to serve Yah and to be of service to mankind. Our life's journey is to discover our gifts and how we can use our individual gifts to complete our purpose and calling on this earth. So any deviation or defilement of this purpose will cause us to get out of balance and leave us open to depression and other mental imbalances because we are out of alignment with our calling. So please, stay humble no matter what. And if you have to correct your fellow herbalists, for whom you may feel is in error, please do so with humility and respect, and provide details and receipts so that they can learn from it and do better. And remember, you too were once ignorant of what you know now. So until next time, family, shalom.